Kia ora koutou. So today we're going to learn about this really good software called Gimp that's a bit like Photoshop. I mean, it doesn't have all the fancy features as Photoshop, but for most of us, you can make some pretty amazing images with this. And it's free, and that's really cool. Um, so if you haven't downloaded it and installed it on your computer yet, you go to this gimp.org and click downloads, and then depending on what device you're on, you pick one. You can install it through the Microsoft Store if you need to, or just download it directly. I'm on a Windows machine right now, but if you're on a Mac, it's also there. If you're like super geeky and are on a Linux machine, it's even got a version for that. So once you get that installed and up and going, we can get started. Now, the good thing about these videos is that you can pause it. I'm going to keep carrying on, but if you need to stop and take extra time on a step, that's like expected. That's normal. So, that's the cool thing is you can learn at your own pace. What we want to avoid is just going about this randomly. You don't learn much. I mean, you can pick up little things here and there, but there's no like coverage of the basics that you can then build on and become really good at anything. You just end up being kind of like random at stuff. So I'm at war with random, sort of. There's a space for it, and it can be really cool. And even in my first lesson today, I'm going to show you where that lives. So I've got it installed on this computer, and once you open it up, you do get some splash screens. Just, accept that. And this is our workspace. So I'm going to create a new file. So and there's lots of little steps here, and it's okay if you miss something. You just pause it and catch up. You may have to rewatch it if I move too fast. So you click on File and then go New, and we're going to create a new image, but we're going to use this template drop down and select A4, which is really like an A4 paper. And then underneath that, you don't have to mess with these dimensions. It's in millimeters, and that's the size of A4 paper, except for it's in portrait mode, which is like standing up and down, like you would normally like write on it if it was for schoolwork or going through a printer. We're going to flip it so it's we call it landscape mode, and we're going to start working with it in landscape mode. So then click OK, and that's going to open up our A4 paper. It's even got rulers up here, so you can, and that should be in millimeters. Yeah, it is. That's good. Before we, another thing is, this is super important. These are the color swatches. There's one that's a little bit in the background, and the one's in the foreground. The one in the background is what it defaulted as, which I kind of like that color, so I might keep it, or I might show you how to change it. Okay. Before we go anywhere, and this is super important, we're going to go File and Save As, and then find a place. Now, if you're on the school computers, you really have to make sure that you save this on your OneDrive. Where do you find that OneDrive from here? Oh, here it is, OneDrive Nailing College. All right. The reason for that, because if you just save it on the school computer, and then you go sit at a different computer for the next class, you won't have access to your work. Because some of the projects we do, it's going to take like several classes. Right, so you don't want to lose your work. So the solution to that is to save it on OneDrive Nailing College, make a folder. I've already got one for 9DM, and then give it a name. Don't call it Untitled. Just click up here, and I'm going to call this one Cursive Monsters. Now, the extension is XCF, which is the GIMP. That just means it's a GIMP file. So we can save that in that folder. And the cool thing about that is we're not going to lose our work. So the first step for this Cursive Monsters, I'm actually going to change the background color. So I want to make sure I've got this layer over here on the bottom right. These are layers. I'm going to select that layer. even though it is the only layer open. And I'm going to click on that background color. Actually, I lied. I'm going to swap it out with that arrow, and that just swaps the foreground to the background. And I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to change it. I'm going to go with something a bit like chartreuse. Chartreuse is like blue-green and a little bit vivid. So somewhere in that range, I'm going to click OK. And then up here in the tool bin, which is, I'm not sure what this thing's called, but the menu here, I'm going to click on that bucket. I'm going to come over here and dump that color on the background. And now I've changed it. Cool. I've done a little bit of work. I want to make sure my work doesn't get lost. So I'm going to go, well, up here, see that little asterisk between the little character and the C? That means the file is in an unsaved state. So if I go File and just Save, because I've already saved it somewhere, if I just go Save, that asterisk disappears, and it means that this is the current thing that's been saved. Of course, the shortcut for that, if I open this up, save is just Control S. A lot of software uses Control S. And so we want that to become part of our muscle memory, because it really sucks when students lose their work. All right, next step, I'm going to click on the ruler here and then drag down a line to roughly the center. It doesn't have to be exact. Just pop that in there. That's not part of our image. That's just for us to work with. When we save our image later, that's not going to be part of it. But we need a line to kind of decide where our lettering that we're going to draw in, where that stops, okay? And that is the next step. So this is really important, and it's probably the main thing we want to teach in this lesson, besides saving your work, is how to make new layers. So over here in the layer section, now if you accidentally click somewhere else, you might see something different here. If you click on this thing, it looks like layers. You'll get back here, and on the bottom left, it can be a little confusing because this like plus thing, that's for making a new folder or a group. We just want a single layer. So I'm going to click that, and I get this little menu here, and I'm going to call this layer name. Okay, and don't worry about any of this stuff, it's fine. Just click OK, and then make sure I've selected that name layer. And so I don't mess anything up, I'm going to come to here and I'm going to click the top left one called Lock Pixels. And you should see this little lock there. The thing with that is it means I don't accidentally move it out of the way. It's locked in. It's helpful. And then make sure I'm selected onto that layer. Oh, cool. You can rename it that way. So if I select background, it means whatever I do will be inside of the green. It means I can't work with it independently. So I'm going to click on this name, just a single click. And now you can see it's a little bit different color. It means that's my layer. And then I'm going to swap this background and foreground. And then I'll find a color that goes with green. I like using color theory, which means a balance between warm and cool colors. So I'm going to click here somewhere in like the magenta, which it's like a complementary color for green, purpley magenta. And somewhere up here, this current is what your color is going to look like. I want it to be a little bit brighter to make it pop. So I'm going to lean over here. That's a bit in the pinkish. I want it definitely magenta. Maybe even drag this down. Nah, I'm very fussy. That'll do. And click OK. So now that's my color I'm going to be working with. I don't want to just paint bucket tool. I want to go over here and find this brush tool. It's a paintbrush tool. So I'll click on that. Then the settings of my tool are all here. The main thing we're going to worry about is the size and the hardness, right? I need to open that up more because it's kind of coming off the screen. Cool. So the hardness is actually defaults to, I think, half, and that should do. The size is what I'm worried about. So I'm just going to draw like a random line, and it's almost the right size, but I want it to be a little bit thicker. Also, I want the hardness to come up. So instead of 050, I'm going to change that to 100. And then make sure I click that. And then now it's a nice crisp line. Now I've drawn two kind of random things here, and I want to undo those steps. In fact, that thickness is perfect, so I don't need to change the size. But just to show you, you click this and you drag left to right to make it bigger, right? So I'll put it roughly where it was. And I want to undo the work I've done. So on the keyboard, I hold Control and Z at the same time, and I undid that line. Then Control and Z to undo that one. That's super useful. Means I can make mistakes, you know. So now I'm going to attempt to draw my name. Make sure I'm on the name layer. Thanks for that notification. Name layer with my magenta in the foreground. By the way, pick your own colors. You don't need to use mine. But I'm going to draw the name I go by, which is Eddie. And it's going to look awkward because, I'm drawing with a mouse. It's not exactly super user-friendly when that D looks shocking. But the main thing you need to do when you draw your name out is to make sure that all the letters are connected. Like you can see, they're all connected. Doesn't matter if it's not super readable or not. And try not to do like what I did, is go off the page. I may fix that actually. And the other thing is, make sure it touches that line. And I need to dot that I, which I can do with the dot. I mean, that's rough. It ain't pretty, but that's my name. All right. Drawing with the mouse. If I had a tablet, I could do a much better job. But anyway, that's not the point, because we're going to do something with our name to make it kind of interesting, right? We're going to create a monster out of our name. Now, what do I do when I've done a bit of work and I want to be certain I don't lose it? I go File, Save, or Control S. It's easy, just Control and S. Just like we did Control Z, Control S, and I'm saved. I'm not going to lose that work. And where do we save our work? Our OneDrive. If you're on your own device, kind of doesn't matter. You can save it where you need to. OneDrive's easier because you can hand your assignment in easier because it's already part of like the school system. Anyway, now I've got my name there, and what I want to do with it now is mirror that, which can be a little bit tricky, but we'll get there. So I'm going to right-click that layer, and then go up here. It says duplicate layers. Let's see what happens. Cool. Now I've got one called name copy. What I want to do is lock that name one in. So I'm going to click that and then upper left to make sure that doesn't move around on me. Make sure I'm on my name copy layer. And then I'm going to go to this tool up here called layer and go transform. And I want to flip this horizontally. And now you can see it's mirrored it. Except for, I didn't really want that. I wanted it vertically. So that's a mistake. What do I do when I make a mistake? Although I have to say, it looks like a little creature there with eyes. I kind of like it, but that's not what we're doing. We're doing something different. So I'm going to Control Z, undo my mistake. How cool. It's still there. It's just right on top of each other, so you don't see the difference. So on that layer, again, I'm going to go Layer, Transform, and Flip, this time vertically. And look at that. It's mirrored it pretty much across that line, except for I'm going to have to move it. So that's the top left here, Move tool. Shortcut is the M on your keyboard. We use Move tool a lot. And when you click on it, click on the actual lettering and then drag that up so it touches the other one. That'll do. All right. So something's starting to work here. Next step is to turn this eyeball off on the background. So all we see is our two layers with the names. And then up on the layer menu, we're going to go, where is it? Merge visible. Maybe it's over here if we right click. New from visible. Oh, here it is. Merge visible layers. So to get there again, because it was a little confusing, we right click on one of our layers here and then merge just the visible ones. The background's invisible, so it won't merge those. Yeah, just click merge. And now name is just one layer. I can turn the background back on and I've got that. I don't want to lock the pixels on that one, but let's rotate. I want to fix this problem where it comes off the line first though. So I'm already on the move tool. All I need to do is just drag it down a little bit. Yep, easiest. There we go. That way it's not touching. Now it's off that line, doesn't matter anymore. Then go image, again, transform, and we're going to rotate this 90 degrees counterclockwise, which puts us back in portrait mode. And this is our little monster that we created out of our name. File, save. Cool. Now, we could say we're done now, but there's quite a lot of interesting stuff we can do with it. And here's where I want you to explore and just sort of figure out cool stuff to do. Just click on things, try them out. If they look bad, Control Z if you don't like it. You know, like I like under these filters. Now I have to be on my name layer. I go filters. There's this artistic one, and they're pretty cool. Like, where was one that looked cool? I think glass tile looked kind of interesting. See, it made it all kind of like you're looking at it through glass, and then you can change like some of the settings to make it bigger or smaller. I kind of just, yeah, nah, I'm gonna cancel that. That's one thing you could try. There's other things you can try. Drop shadow's really cool. You have to change this up, offset up. Geez, I might type in, say 60. I'm not seeing anything. Is the preview loaded? Yeah, let's just see. Click OK. I didn't. Oh, there we go. It did work. I think there's a better way to do drop shadows there. But you can see it looks like it's floating off the page. I think that's kind of cool. Pretty sure there's a better way to do it. I'm just trying to remember. All right. Anyway, have fun. That's our first lesson. Just try different things out and make sure you save it. Kapai.